Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gora Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gora Bhakta Vrinda Asya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurumilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadam Tikam Deham Shri Guru Shri Tatapatamanam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadhaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padavam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakam Vikanscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpati Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastite Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanu Site Devi Pranamani Hari Priya Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhuvya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Dukkam karoti vachalam panghum langayate girim yakritattamaham vande Shri Guru Dinatarinam Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pusthabhitani Prabhupada Priya Shri Giri Rajaya Swami Subhakta Radharas Vihari Brahmavakti Vyas Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pusthabhitani Shrimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pacharani Nirvishesha Shri. So we are reading. So this is a section in the response of Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to the Mayavad philosophers. So what Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is teaching is actually he is teaching us, the devotees. So we're going to do a quick revision so that we remember what Mahaprabhu is discussing. So that's going to be from text. We have to remember also. From text 141. Okay? It is only by devotional service. So how do we get the final understanding, the final realization? This is the topic here. It is only by devotional service, beginning with hearing, that one can approach the Supreme Person Godhead. That is the only means to approach him. So we have discussed this is why we distribute books, right? We distribute books so that we can give opportunity to people to hear about Krishna. By practicing this regulated devotional service under the direction of the spiritual master, certainly one awakens his dormant love of Godhead. This is called the process Abhidev. So sadhu sangha. So you could say Ado Shraddha. So if by good luck we get to hear about Krishna, Satsanga. So then we take Diksha. So under the direction of spiritual master, Bhajana Kriya. So when we do the activities of Bhajan Kriya means the activities in Bhajan, the different instruction given to us by the spiritual master. So this process is called What?
Bhajan Kriya. Oh,
Abhidheya.
Abhidheya.
If one develops his love of Godhead and becomes attached to the lotus feet of Krishna, gradually he loses his attachment to everything else, meaning that asakti is coming now. So remember, Ado Shraddha, then Sadhu Sangha, then Bhajana Kriya, Ruchi, Asakti. Then love of Godhead is so exalted that it is considered to be the fifth goal of human life. By awakening one's love of Godhead, one can attain the platform of conjugal love, tasting it even during the present span of life. So bhava and prema. And that prema, it has different levels in the prema. And the highest in those levels is madhurya, madhurya ras. So in a very, very brief one stanza, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is giving the entire Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. We spent 24 lessons to study what is given here in 3 or 4 verses. Right? So this, you could say, sutra form. Mahaprabhu is given the path, Shraddha to Prema. 145. The Supreme Lord, who is greater than the greatest, becomes submissive to even a very insignificant devotee because of his devotional service. It is the beautiful and exalted nature of devotional service that the infinite Lord becomes submissive to the infinite living entity because of it. In reciprocal devotional activities with the Lord, the devotee actually enjoy the transcendental menu of devotional service. This is bhava. In bhava and prema, so Krishna akarshani. Krishna is attracted. Yeah, so here you are in few verses. So Mahaprabhu is giving the entire philosophy elaborated by Shri Rupa Goswami in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. 146. We are here, 146. All right. So remember what we just spoke so that you can catch on to the next verse. 146. Sambandha abhidaya prayojanana etinartha sarvasutre pariyavasana. One's relationship with the Supreme Person of Godhead, activities in terms of that relationship, and the ultimate goal of life to develop love of God, these 3 subjects are explained in every aphorism of the Vedanta Sutra, for they form the culmination of the entire Vedanta philosophy. Anyway, you know, if we were scholars, which we are not, right? But if we were scholars, then we will again go back to the whole discussion between Prakashananda Saraswati and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and we're going to write a huge thesis on all this. So because we are not ready, I mean, this myself, not ready, but at least we have understood the essence. So I read it again. One's relationship with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. What's that? In Sanskrit, one's relationship with the Supreme Person of Godhead. What is that?
Sambandha.
Some activities in terms of that relationship. What is it?
Abhidheya.
Yes. And the ultimate goal of life, what is this?
Prayojan.
Okay. So these 3 subjects are explained in every aphorism of the Vedanta Sutra. Whereas the Mayavadi are not finding it, but Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is saying, actually your entire Vedanta Sutra is speaking of only these 3. So they are reading the Vedas, but they are not seeing it at all. Did we ever saw these? I'm asking any one of us who before coming to Krishna consciousness were reading other books or hearing so many things. Did we ever hear anything like this? Sambandh, Abhidheya, and Prayojan, right? Never heard of anything like this. Some of us may have been ritualistic. We did this, but we never understood that there is a science behind what we call religion. It's a very crude word. It's religion, very crude. And that's why most people don't want religion. We don't understand what is religion. You're religious, or you're religious, right? What does it mean? Are you religious? No meaning, only that, yes, you have some faith because you're afraid of your life. When you're troubled, where will you turn to? What will you do? But this is not at all the reality of Dharma. Purushart, the goal of life. So I think that we have come a very, very, very long way in our understanding of what is, I'm going to use this word, religion. Because we don't have any other word. So, perfect. In Srimad Bhagavatam 5.55 it is said, Para bhavastavad abuddha jatu yavanna jigyasata atmatattvam. A human being is defeated in all his activities as long as he does not know the goal of life, which can be understood when one is inquisitive about Brahman. Okay, I'll read it again. A human being is defeated in all his activities as long as he doesn't know the goal of life, right? I just spoke of artha. What is the meaning of your life? You're existing. What is the worth and what is the meaning of your life? Which can be understood when one is inquisitive of Brahman. So meaning that your life starts to make sense. Only when we are inquisitive to know about Brahman, Atma Tattva. It is such inquiry that begins the Vedanta Sutra Athato Brahma Jigyasa. A human being should be inquisitive to know who he is. All right. What the universe is, what God is, and what the relationship is between himself, God, and the material world. Okay, among all these items, who are you? What is the universe? What is God? What is the relationship between himself, God, and the material world? Among all these items, which one interested you in the beginning of your life? Among these items. Anybody can tell me.
It's not about only one. It's about maybe a couple,
Yes, that's
one
okay. Just
and the other also. It's not the
yes.
yeah.
For you, what is
The
it?
first was who are you? What are you doing here?
So these are the questions that you were asking about yourself. Who am I? What am I doing? Like anybody else. Among all these,
Mataji, I was wondering who am I and why am I suffering?
okay, all right. Anybody else?
ये मतलब ये दुनिया कैसे बना, मुझे ऐसे लग रहा था कि कैसे हम इधर आ गए, ये कैसे, मतलब ये जगत क्या है, कैसे हम आए इधर.
Yeah. What is this universe? The stars, the moon. Right? Anupama Mishra, what was your inquisitiveness.
Mataji, one was about the universe, the mystery of the universe,
Okay.
the nature that we lived amidst, and also about the relationship aspect, because we grew up on so many stories of various bhaktas and leelas. So there was always this feeling that is he merciful to somebody like me also? You know, that mystery was there.
That's nice. This is the advantage of taking birth in a Vedic society, growing up with stories of Krishna, right? This is the great, great boon and advantage. So, such questions cannot be asked by cats and dogs. Why?
Low intelligence, Mataji, and low consciousness.
They don't have intelligence.
Because their mind is more or less susupta. It's not that they're not conscious. You kick a dog, he's 100% conscious, right? Isn't he? So he's conscious. But his mind is like, this is the tamogun. The tamogun is like, it's like closed. So on a physical level, if you kick a dog, 100% he feels it. Even a plant, now we know that the plants protest, right? If we poke them, we hurt them, they're conscious, they're sensitive. But the soul is like dormant. Jeev jago, right? You can't make a cat and dog jeev jago. He cannot wake up. Whereas a human being, even though he may be in tamogun, if by good luck he comes in contact with a devotee, like Mrigari the hunter, or even Valmiki Muni, right? Who were killing animals, but by contact with a great sage, he could be awakened because he's a human being. Knowledge of these four items, namely oneself, the universe, God, and their internal relationship, is called Sambandh Gyan, or the knowledge of one's relationship. When one's relationship with the Supreme Lord is established, the next program is to act in that relationship. This is called abhiday, or activity in relationship with the Lord. After executing such prescribed duties, when one attains the highest goal of life, love of Godhead, he achieves prayojan siddhi, or the fulfillment of his human mission. In the Brahma Sutra or Vedanta Sutra, these subjects are very carefully explained. Therefore, one who does not understand the Vedanta Sutra in terms of these principles is simply wasting his time. This is the version of Srimad Bhagavatam 1.28. Dharma sanushtita pumsam vishvakshena kathasuyaha nat padayat yadi ratim shrama evahi kevalam. One may be a very learned scholar and execute his prescribed duty very nicely, but if he does not ultimately become inquisitive about the Supreme Person Godhead and is indifferent to Shravanam Kirtanam, hearing and chanting, all that he has done is but a waste of time. Mayavadi philosophers who do not understand the relationship between themselves, the cosmic manifestation, and the Supreme Person Godhead are simply wasting their time. and the philosophical speculation has no value. You can imagine that you spend your whole life following a process, and at the end of it all, you get nothing. Right? Such a dangerous thing. You can become completely atheist, absolute and complete atheist, or you can just become mad. Okay, Anupama Madhi, can you read 147?
Hare Krishna, Dhamma Vimata sarva sutrena vyakhena suniya Shakala sannyasi tahe vinaya karya. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. When all the Mayavadi sannyasis thus heard the explanation of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu on the basis of Sambandh, Abhidheya and Prayojan, they spoke very humbly. Purport. Everyone who actually desires to understand the Vedanta philosophy must certainly accept the explanation of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and the Vaishnava Acharyas, who have also commented on the Vedanta Sutra according to the principles of Bhakti Yoga. After hearing the explanation of the Vedanta Sutra from Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, all the sannyasis headed by Prakashananda Saraswati became very humble and obedient to the Lord, and they spoke as follows.
Next, who wants to read? Hey, Devahuti.
Hare Krishna, text 148. Vedamaya Murti Tumi Shakshat Narayan Shama Aparadha Pure E Kailum Nindano. Translation. Dear sir, you are Vedic knowledge personified and are directly Narayan himself. Kindly excuse us for the offenses we previously committed by criticizing you. Purport. The complete path of Bhakti Yoga is based on the process of being humble and submissive. By the grace of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, all the Mayavadi sannyasis were very humble and submissive after hearing his explanation of the Vedanta Sutra, and they begged to be pardoned for the offenses they had committed by criticizing the Lord for simply chanting and dancing and not taking part in the study of the Vedanta Sutra. We are propagating the Krishna conscious movement simply by following in the footsteps of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. We are not very well versed in the Vedanta Sutra aphorisms and may not understand their meaning, but we follow in the footsteps of the Acharyas. And because of our strictly and obediently following in the footsteps of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, it is to be understood that we know everything regarding the Vedanta Sutra.
Yes. So this is very important, very, very important. Like we keep saying this, that when we repeat what we have heard, we are perfect. So Prabhupada is saying here, we are propagating the Krishna consciousness movement simply by following in the footsteps of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. We may not be very well versed in the Vedanta Sutra aphorism and may not understand their meaning, but we follow in the footsteps of the Acharyas, and because I was strictly and obediently following the footsteps of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, it is to be understood that we know everything regarding the Vedanta Sutra. All right, so Sambandh, Abhidheya, Prayojan. So Mahaprabhu is introducing this to us, and we, as I said earlier, if we were great scholars, we will go back and study again, the whole conversation between Prakashananda Saraswati. And practically, this is what Prabhupada is saying here, right? So we are going to sit and write a big PhD thesis on, or super PhD thesis. I don't know what exists after PhD, right? About Vedanta Sutra, the philosophy, but simple, all of us who are here, the first day when we joined Hare Krishna movement, they told us, you are Jivera Swarup Hare Krishna Nitya Das. and your name is Das and Dasi. That's plain and simple. You just accept it in the beads. Abhiday. Okay, clean the temple, clean the pots. No, we did it. Right? Distribute books, we did it. Abhiday, Prayojan, and by doing this, we became attached to the deities whom we are serving. That everybody has experience. So we just did it. We were told do, we did it, but we don't actually, it's the Vedanta Sutra. So we don't know the intricacies of all this. So we simply follow and we got the results. That's it. Very simple. 149, Indira Radha.
Hare Krishna. Sei haite sanyashira Viri Jelamano Krishna Krishna Nama Sada Karaye Grahana. From that moment, when the Mayavadi sannyasis heard the explanation of the Vedanta Sutra from the Lord, their minds changed, and on the instruction of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, they too chanted Krishna, Krishna always, Hari Bol. Purport. In this connection, it may be mentioned that sometimes the Sahajiya class of devotees opine that Prakashananda Saraswati and Prabodhananda Saraswati are the same men. Prabodhananda Saraswati was a great Vaishnava devotee of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, but Prakashananda Saraswati, the head of the Mayavadi sannyasis in Benares, was a different person. Prabodhananda Saraswati belonged to the Ramanuja Sampradaya, whereas Prakashananda Saraswati belonged to the Sankaracharya Sampradaya. Prabodhananda Saraswati wrote a number of books, among which are the Chaitanya Chandramrita, Radha Rasa Sudha Nidhi, Sangeeta Madhava, Vrindavan Sataka, and Navadvip Sataka. While traveling in southern India, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu met Prabodhananda Saraswati, who had two brothers, Venkata Bhatt and Tirumalai Bhatt, who were Vaishnavas of the Ramanuja Sampradaya. Gopal Bhatt Goswami was the nephew of Prabodhananda Saraswati. From historical records, it is found that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu travelled in South India in the year 1433 Shakabda AD 1511 during the Chaturmasya period, and it was at that time that he met Prabodhananda, who belonged to the Ramanuja Sampradaya. How then could the same person meet him as a member of the Shankara Sampradaya in 1435, Shakabda 2 years later? It is to be concluded that the guests of the Sahajiya Sampradaya, that Prabodhananda Saraswati and Prakashananda Saraswati were the same man, is a mistaken idea. Okay.
Text 150, Shashi.
E mate tana savari shama apradha savakare Krishna nami karila prasada. Thus, Lord Chaitanya executed all the offences of the Mayavadi sannyasis and very mercifully blessed them with Krishna Nam. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is the mercy incarnation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He is addressed by Srila Rupa Goswami as Maha Vedanta Avatar, or the most magnanimous incarnation. Srila Rupa Goswami also says Karuna Vatrina Kalau. It is only by his mercy that he is descended in this age of Kali. Here, this is exemplified. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu did not like to see Mayavadi sannyasis because he thought of them as offenders to the lotus feet of Krishna. But here he excuses them. Tanha sabari shami apradha. This is an example in preaching. Apni achari bhakti shikamu sabare. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu teaches us that those whom preachers meet are almost all offenders who are opposed to Krishna consciousness. But it is a preacher's duty to convince them of the Krishna consciousness movement and then induce them to chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Our propagation of the Sankirtan movement is continuing, despite many opponents, and people are taking up this chanting process even in remote parts of the world like Africa. By inducing the offenders to chant the Hare Krishna mantra, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu exemplified the success of the Krishna conscious movement. We should follow very respectfully in the footsteps of Lord Chaitanya, and there is no doubt that we shall be successful in our attempts. Hare Krishna.
Text 151.
Mataji, I had a question, Mataji. Can I ask her, Mataji?
Yes.
Mataji, in text 148, you said that when we repeat what we hear, then we are perfect. Can you elaborate more on that? And here also it's saying the same
What's that?
thing. You said when we repeat what we hear,
What-
then we become perfect.
Yeah. It's perfect what we are doing. It's perfect. Meaning that the message is perfect. If we are repeating what we've heard, if your teacher tells you 1 + 1 is equal to 2, and you repeat that to the next person, 1 + 1 is equal to 2, it's perfect. The knowledge is perfect, right? And in the spiritual realm, by repeating again and again, Shravanam Kirtan, by repeating again and again, it starts to sink in your own consciousness, and you start to see the world according to what you're repeating. This is what we call self-realization, God realization, enlightenment.
So, Mataji, for people who are receptive when we are preaching, it is okay to repeat the same message again and again. Is that also a practice?
But you're repeating and you're hearing yourself.
Okay.
So you're becoming a step, forward. Each time you repeat, the person is not hearing, but you yourself, you're hearing. Right?
Mhm.
So you're hearing, and as you're hearing, you start to see. You start to understand, start to see. Two things. One is that the message is perfect. You just have to repeat it as it is. All right? And when you are doing this, you yourself, you're becoming perfect.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
All right. Yeah, it's a very mysterious process. Who's reading now? Kama Mishra, you are reading?
तबे सब सन्यासी महाप्रभु के लाय भिक्षा कर लेना सभे मध्य बसाया. After this, translation, after this, all the sannyasis took the Lord into their midst, and thus they all took their meal together. Purport. Previously, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had neither mixed or talked with the Mayavadi sannyasis, but now he took lunch with them. It is to be concluded that when Lord Chaitanya induced them to chant Hare Krishna and excused them for their offenses, they were purified, and therefore there was no objection to taking lunch or Bhagavad Prasadam with them. Although Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu knew that the food had not been offered to the deity, Mayavadi sannyasis do not worship the deity, or if they do so, they generally worship the deity of Lord Shiva or the Panchopasana, Lord Vishnu, Lord Shiva, Durga Devi, Ganesha, and Surya. Here we do not find any mention of the demigods or Vishnu, and yet Chaitanya Mahaprabhu accepted food in the midst of the sannyasis on the basis that they had chanted the Hare Krishna Mahamantra and that he had excused their offenses.
So he went there, okay, he went among Mayavadis and he chanted Hare Krishna and their food became Krishna Prasad. You know, all this that we are reading now in Chaitanya Charitamrita, I have lived all this with my Guru Maharaj. When A to Z, everything about preaching, I have seen him do all this. A to Z. And so that, because they were young, were all young when they joined Prabhupada, and they learned from him not only from the philosophy, but they lived with him. They lived with him, they observed him. And after Srila Prabhupada left, they continued to do what Prabhupada taught them, and Prabhupada has written here what Mahaprabhu is doing. So if you want to know what to do, here is the philosophy and behavior printed, right, on what to do, how to behave. So, because only reading the book, we may not understand. So therefore, if you're lucky to have association with a spiritual master, then you will observe what he's doing.
Mataji, I have a
Yes.
So from this incidents, that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu accepted the food despite it not being offered, just on the basis that they had chanted the Maha Mantra. What do we learn from that?
What we learn is that when you go out preaching, if you manage to get the householder, whoever it is, to chant Hare Krishna, you do Harinam, all right? So these people didn't come as bhakta, they are not devotees. But you as a bhakta, you manage to make them chant Hare Krishna. Then if they offer you something, right? So they are chanting, you are chanting. So automatically when you're putting in your mouth, you're chanting, right? Isn't it? You will think, when you're putting in your mouth, you think of Krishna, so you're offering. They haven't offered it, you're chanting, and they also chanted.
And then Mahaprabhu is God himself. So he was there. And whatever food was being offered, it's like he's being offered that food.
Yes, yeah, but here he is in the role of a sannyasi, and he had refused to eat in their house. If he's God, he can eat anywhere, right? So God doesn't accept the food of non-devotees. So this is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So he doesn't accept the food of non-devotees. So they offered him, he's God, he's Narayan. And they're saying, you're Narayan, right? What did they say? Yes, sir, you are your Vedic knowledge personified, and not directly Narayan himself. That's what they're telling you, you're Narayan. And so he could say, I'm Narayan, anyway I can eat there, no problem. But Mahaprabhu is teaching by a lesson. Say, no.
What?
No, you don't eat. You don't eat in the house of people who are non-devotees. Because the Mayavadis, that's why I use the word religion, right? So you would say they are among religious people, right? We count them among those who are religious. But what type of religious that they don't offer their food, right? So they're gyanis, they're speculators, but they haven't come to the point of surrender and submission that they're ready to offer their food, Krishna or any deity. They offer nothing to nothing. It's just, they're in the material world, they got all this food, they have to eat, right? So what do they do with their food? They think they are the three gunas. Yeah. It's all one for them, everything is all one. It's a very illogical philosophy. Most illogical philosophy, this Mayavad philosophy, most illogical. Whereas Krishna consciousness, the philosophy of Krishna consciousness, though very difficult, extremely difficult to understand, at the same time, we are able to understand and be able to practice. Make sense, you know? We're able to make sense of it. Whereas Mayavad philosophy is simply illogical. So if we say it's illogical, then what will be the response? You're not sufficiently intelligent to understand it. Okay, so the mind, the intelligence can understand, but what about the practical? You know, it's like my Maharaj this story. They went someplace, I think they were invited to some program with Prabhupada, and there were so many Mayavadis. So the Mayavadis say everything is anyway, I'm just doing my own version of the whole story, very poor. But the gist of it was that it was very cold. Wherever they were, it was very cold. And the devotees, I think their host had given them blankets, you know. So then so the devotees were taking rest and they had blankets. And the Mayavadi sannyasis, I think they didn't have blanket or something. So one of them approached one devotee and asked for a blanket. So, so what that devotee did, he pulled out one thread. He said, this one thread is equal to the blanket because everything is one, right? Your philosophy is everything is one. Therefore, he pulled out one thread. Here is your blanket. The one is equal to the whole. All right. So what I'm saying is that it's so impractical. It's illogical and it's impractical. And this devotee, you know, I don't think he was a great scholar, you know, because those who were with Prabhupada, they were only 10 years old with him when Prabhupada left. All right. So people were joining at different times. So I don't know when he joined. So maybe 4 years, 5 years, or 2 years. Like Bhakti Swami, only 6 months. He was with Prabhupada, 6 months or so. Right. Hardly 1 year. Right. But they have understood the philosophy. So in one shot, and he's a Westerner on top of it, all right? So in one shot, that Western disciple of Prabhupada defeated the sannyasi, the Mayavad sannyasi. Finish, because your philosophy is illogical. So I heard that it's the philosophy of Krishna consciousness. Yeah, so why I'm remembered this, you know, when I'm reading 151, because one time I had organized a program for my Guru Maharaj, and so it was they were vegetarian, so those devotees, they were members or whatever. And they were vegetarian. Everybody was vegetarian. But there was eggs somewhere. You know? Somewhere in the house there was eggs. And this Mataji, who she cooked, and yeah, everybody were vegetarian, the grandmother and the lady, everybody was vegetarian, but somehow there were eggs, you know. So then when I said, Donaj, you know, and yeah, and to please me, so that lady of the house, she had put up in the picture of Radha Gulukananda in the kitchen, you know, so when she was cooking everything. Then I just mentioned to my brother, I said, but they have eggs. Then he told me this, and just see how many years ago. It was in the 80s, I think. 80s or maybe early 90s. So he told me, by the chanting of the holy name, everything becomes purified. So he accepted lunch there. And the same devotee, same lady, I invited Bhakti Swami. And he went there, and you know what he did? He entered that kitchen, he cooked his own food. All right? Not only he cooked his own food, he cooked for the entire family. Bhakti Swami was a cook. I never know Bhakti Swami eating from anybody. Until I came here in India, maybe, I don't know, maybe sometime in the years, very late in 90s, 2000, then he relaxed it a bit and he allowed, you know, disciples or whoever to cook for him. Otherwise, you do everything, you cut all vegetables, everything, and he himself will get in the kitchen and he will cook. Even in Phoenix Temple, in our own temple, nobody will cook for him. He himself did. The disciples will do everything because in the kitchen he cooks. Yeah. So this is about cooking and eating, and our time is up, I think. So this is one section is completed. Let me see. Okay, let's read a few more, then that incident will be over. Text 152. Bhiksha kari Mahaprabhu Aila Vasa Ghara Hena Chitra Leela Kare Gauranga Sundara. After taking lunch among the Mayavadi sannyasis, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who is known as Gaur Sundar, returned to his residence. Thus the Lord performs his wonderful pastimes. So just see, Bhiksha Kari, Mahaprabhu Aila Vasa Ghara. Aila Vasa Ghara. Bhiksha Kari. See, because a sannyasi or brahmachari, sannyasi, so they live on charity. They live on charity. So how will he eat? So he has to accept charity from somewhere, right? So just like any temple, any ISKCON temple, how are the residents eating? They're eating from the charity of people, right? People are donating, and that's how we eat, from their charity. So after taking lunch among the Mayavadi sannyasis, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who is known as Gaura Sundar, returned to his residence. Thus the Lord performed his wonderful pastimes. Text 153. Chandrasekhara Tapana Mishra Ara Sanatana Shuni Dekhi Anandita Sabha Karamana Hearing the arguments of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and seeing his victory, Chandrasekhar, Tapana Mishra, and Sanatan Goswami were all extremely pleased. It is an example of how a sannyasi should preach. When Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went to Varanasi, he went there alone, not with a big party. Locally, however, he made friendships with Chandrasekhar and Tapana Mishra, and Sanatan Goswami also came to see him. Therefore, although he didn't have many friends there, due to his sound preaching and his victory in arguing with the local sannyasis and the Vedanta philosophy, he became greatly famous in that part of the country, as explained in the next verse. Prabhu ke dekhite aise sakala sannyasi, Prabhura prasamsa kare saba Varanasi. Many Mayavadi sannyasis of Varanasi came to see the Lord after this incident, and the entire city praised him. Varanasi Puriyena Shri Krishna Chaitanya Puri Saha Sarva Loka Haila Mahadhanya. Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu visited the city of Varanasi, and all of its people were very thankful. Laksha Laksha Loke Aise Prabhu Ke Dekhite Mahabeda Haila Dware Nare Praveshite. The crowd at the door of his residence was so great that it numbered hundreds of thousands. All right, so we'll stop here. So we are on text 157. So we'll see what happens next. So that was the victory of Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu over the Mayavadi philosophers. Oh, we've got only few verses to complete. Do you want to continue? Then we'll finish this book. Is it okay? I don't think there's too much. Oh, okay, let's leave it. It's a lot. It's a lot. We have 20 verses. So next week we'll complete Adi Lila. All right. It was very interesting, wasn't it? Extremely interesting. So remember that even though you may not understand the behavior of our great devotees among us, our spiritual masters, Guru, Diksha Guru or Shiksha Guru, if they have learned properly this philosophy, you should know where it's coming from. It's coming from Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Because we are followers of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. All right. Okay, thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripasindhune evacha patitanam pavanabhyo Vaishnavibhyo. I always look at my prasad, you know. I can offer you everybody prasad.
Answer it.
Oh my God, here's my prasadam, all of you. Okay?
Yeah.
Hari Bol.
Haribol.
Virtual pressure.
Hari Bol.
Haribol.
So